That's Sophie.
That's Sophie, yeah. I'm gonna
Sophie
mute her
made it
out.
into the minutes. Did you notice that, David?
No, I didn't. Is this the minutes on the screen here?
Yeah, here you
No.
go. Right there. There she is. Also in attendance, David Newby, Sophie Newby.
Okay. That's good. She can't be left out.
Nope. Who is T Joggle's iPhone? Oh, that's you, Maggie. Okay.
Oh, this is Tina Glover.
No. Oh, Tina Glover. Okay. Thank you, Tina.
Uh-huh.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Have you taken the roll?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the opening prayer. Who would someone like to volunteer to do an opening prayer?
I'll do it, Ron.
Okay.
Is everyone ready? Everybody bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thanks for being with us tonight. Dear Lord, please be with us as we conduct this meeting. Please be with us as we make decisions that best suits the town. Dear Lord, please be with everyone tonight as they stay in their homes, and please protect them over the things that we cannot control, Lord. Dear Lord, please forgive us for all our sins. We pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes. You've had the minutes of the July 13th, 2020 board meeting and the August 4th, 2020 workshop. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are not, then the minutes will stand approved as written. Next item on the agenda is comments from the community. Are there any people here on the meeting tonight who would like to comment to the board? Nobody? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the mayor's comments. The one thing I have tonight is a proclamation recognizing Sadie Sanders for her poem about Somerville entitled "Everyone Knows Everyone in Somerville." I hope you all saw that in the Fayette Falcon on the 29th. And we have prepared a proclamation, and I would like to read that at this point. Whereas Sadie Sanders is a 12-year-old granddaughter of Martha and Tommy Sanders of Somerville, Tennessee, and whereas Sadie Sanders is the daughter of Justin Sanders of Somerville, Tennessee, and whereas Sadie Sanders composed a poem entitled Everybody Knows Everybody in Somerville, and whereas Sadie Sanders' poem was published in the July 29, 2020 edition of the Fayette Falcon, the oldest newspaper in West Tennessee, and whereas Sadie Sanders is now a published poet, and whereas Sadie Sanders' poem speaks to the heart of every citizen of Somerville, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Somerville recognizes Sadie Sanders for her wonderful contribution of her poem to the citizens of Somerville, Tennessee. Proclaim this 10th day of August, 2020. If y'all have not read the poem, I would suggest that we can send you a copy if you don't have a copy of the Falcon laying around. And Bob, if you would get that proclamation signed, appropriately framed, and presented to Ms. Sanders.
Yes, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull anything off of the consent agenda for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So
I'll
moved.
move. I'll second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Douglas and seconded by Hamilton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. 7.2, a motion to award fiscal 21 insurance renewal to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Bob?
So this is, the insurance has gone up 20%. I did a financial analysis on this, which I showed everybody last week, which shows that the premiums themselves have gone up 26.5%, but our exposure is up just 20%. In other words, all the co-pays put together and all that stuff added together basically increases our exposure by 20%. I did budget a 10% increase. However, I also budgeted an increase in our co-pays, which almost identically matches the $107,000 we have of exposure that they anticipate. So if you look at the very bottom here, when we get to the point where we need to do a budget amendment, those are the budgeted amounts that will have to be amended to increase those items in the general fund, solid waste, water, and so forth. So you can see where we're off and how much we're off in each fund right now from what we budgeted for this year's project. This year's insurance. Also, every employee gets the same benefit, which is $248.67 against their health insurance premium. When you add all of the dental, vision, and life insurance together, each employee gets the same benefit of $285.61 compared to last year's $233.52, which is about a $52 increase. So that's it. And you can see what an individual employee will pay all the way over here at $24.55. Employee spouse, employee children, and family. Are there any more questions about that?
We went through it at the workshop.
Yes.
Moved that we approve it.
Been
Pardon
moved.
me? Oh, you moved. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sandra, did you
Sandra
second?
it? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the insurance bids. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 7.3, a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-006, an ordinance amending Title 14, Chapter 2 of the Town of Somerville Municipal Code on first reading. This is recommended by the Planning Commission. Bob, would you like to discuss this?
Sure. The Planning Commission has been actually working on a version of this addition to the zoning ordinance since last September. We have been the staff has been struggling with the limited table of uses that we have in our current zoning ordinance. So we've been working on expanding that table of uses. At the very end of this ordinance, you can see that there are 6 pages, almost 250 different uses that we listed separately. Right now, we have 27 on our current zoning ordinance. This gives us a lot more information to deal with people that come in. This is really precipitated by several people coming to the town to put it, we had a real estate agent who wanted to put a real estate office in an office in the redevelopment district, which according to our current zoning ordinance is not allowable. So they had to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and it really wasn't hardly even necessary because the building is previously an office and they wanted to put an office in it. But since we changed the zoning ordinance back in 17, that use went away for that building. Another instance that came up was a medical facility wanted to purchase the medical building directly across the road from UT Martin. That's been a medical building ever since it was built. In fact, I had some dental work done there 25 years ago. Anyway, when we passed the ordinance in 17, that was no longer allowable according to our ordinance. So it had to go before the board. It was only appealable to the BZA. So in order for them to purchase that property from the owner for medical use, they had to come to the BZA and get permission basically to allow an appeal to the BZA for that use in that zone. So what we tried to do was eliminate as much of that restrictions, as many of those restrictions as possible that were, I think, inadvertently put in the previously adopted zoning ordinance, and tried to identify everything better. So in some of that, we did some additional work, basically, housekeeping work, and we changed a few definitions around the special exception. We added language to special exception, and I know that John David had some questions about that. Do you want to discuss that now, John David, or do you want to do it later?
Oh, no, just anytime. I was talking with Bob somewhat at length about this, and Bob convinced me, even though it's a bureaucratical document, 100 pages long now. What'd you add, Bob? 35 pages?
I think 23 pages.
23 pages. That the general approach is what he termed to be, and after talking to him, I don't disagree, the general approach that it's business friendly. But he also said that just about all of the applications end up being adjudicated by the Board of Zoning Appeals. And in that discussion, he couldn't really think of one that had been turned down or should have been turned down. I asked the question, and on page 5, when it goes to the Board of Zoning Appeals, of course, that's the same board, that's the same people. And I know they serve a different function, but the only appeal after that is certiorari. I may not pronounce it exactly right, Tom, but that's somebody that would have to sue us. And I asked Bob to check, and he said there didn't appear to be any reason that another level of appeal before someone sued us would be this board itself, the city board. And I didn't know if we wanted to consider that.
So right now in the current zoning ordinance, the only recourse you have from a decision by the BZA is to go to the court. But there is nothing in the code, nothing in TCA that requires us to have that language in there. And but some other zoning ordinances do have it in there. But Jim did a lot of work for me for this, and also I talked to Rick Whitehead, our MTS consultant, and I actually reviewed some of the TCA code as well. And I couldn't find anything in there that required us to make people go to the court to solve an issue. We could allow them to come to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to solve an issue,
Right.
To solve a ruling from the BZA.
It just kind of seems like that whenever this was done, and this was done a long time ago, I think, and Bob Ronnie may remember, but Bob didn't remember specifically why, but it was sort of to me like, if you don't like what we did at the planning commission, or the planning commission again acting as the BSA, will then sue us. I just wondered if, could we not bring it to the board? The board is the ones that are the elected officials, and by way of the mayor, appoint the planning commission board. 2 members of the board serve on the planning commission. I just didn't see why not have the board involved in that. And you don't have to give by zoning ordinance the permission for someone to sue you. They would still have that right. I better let Tom touch that, but I would certainly think that.
Here's that language right here in
Yeah.
section 1 that we actually discussed this at the planning commission as well.
Yeah, that's,
We did not change that language, but we changed a little bit of other language that didn't really fit to what we were trying to do.
I assume writ of certiorari means that they take you to Chancery Court.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. But you have to learn how to pronounce that word first. And nobody I know really knows how to.
It's not cert, it's
I don't know what it is.
church.
Yeah. Is that a cert? Like a
Church, not cert.
Yeah.
Certiorari.
Soft C.
Ask
Yeah.
Tom, he's the lawyer.
Mike French, I agree with John David. We need to be friendly and less bureaucratic.
And this is Tom. I would also point out, Oakland does allow their appeal to go to the board. So, I mean,
Oakland does not allow theirs to go to the board either, Tom. Is that what you said?
does allow.
I'm sorry, Tom, they do not, or they do?
They do
They
allow.
do?
Oh, they do. Okay.
Their appeals from BZA do go before the full board before they can go outside of the town and go into Chancery Court.
Bob pointed out in our long discussion and all of the work that's been done recently with Memphis Contract Packaging and that involved the planning commission, the county, the county ID board and the planning commission. Certainly was an attitude of being business friendly, but and Bob could not think of one that, I don't mean to say he couldn't think of one that had ever been denied, but he couldn't think of any that he thought should have been that were not. But still, I didn't see anything wrong with the board having a level of approval before we're challenged in court. Ronnie, what's your thinking?
Well, most people have the wrong impression of the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Board of Zoning Appeals under state law has actually very limited, unless we've given something in this ordinance, special exceptions, that may be different, but the powers of the Board of Zoning Appeals is to fix those things that because you've changed the zoning, now a lot can't be used for something. It's not, if a lot was created in 1942, 50 feet wide, and suddenly your zoning says that you have to have 75 feet, then you just made that lot unusable. The Board of Zoning Appeals can fix that. The Board of Zoning Appeals can't, I know in a lot of cities I've run into, they think the Board of Zoning Appeals can just ignore the ordinance and do whatever they want to, but you can't. I mean, that's not what you do with the Board of Zoning Appeals. I don't know. I've been looking at the law while y'all have been talking. Everybody I'm familiar with, and obviously that's not very many people, don't usually take a Board of Zoning Appeals case to the board, the city board. It usually goes to court. It was my opinion, but I haven't found anything yet that says that. But there may be some case law out there. I don't know.
Well, this is obviously the first reading. Can we have Bob look into that? Talk with the city
Sure.
attorney,
Sure.
talk with what other cities have done, what we found out just then that Oakland lets it come to their city board. It just seems to me to be unusual if a citizen that was making an application came to us and we'd have to tell them there's not anything we can do.
Well, I've always laughed and said I didn't know why anybody would want to be on the Board of Zoning Appeals, because basically your job is to tell people, no, you can't do that. We can certainly research it and see what other places are doing and how that works.
One thing else you could do is look and see. I think we would understand the pros. That would be us having the power to consider. We could see what there would be that would pros and cons, Bob.
Yeah, I can look into it.
Okay.
Because I only had one day, really, Friday, to look into it for you, JD. So
Yeah, it just came up as I was reading these 100 pages here.
I do know that Jim Atkinson, our city planner, he did look into this somewhat, and he looked through TCA and could not find any requirement that made us go to court. But he did also review several different cities' zoning ordinances and found that some of them do require you to go to court for an appeal and some of them don't. So I'll get more information from him regarding that, and I'll also talk to Rick Whitehead, our MTS consultant, and get some more information.
You might touch base with Tom, any other cities, but all of the pages in the back that just expanded the definitions, which made probably less zoning appeals.
That's the idea. The idea of this amendment to the zoning ordinance is to create fewer appeals. So if we have more definitions and we added the definitions and we added this section for restrictions, which basically every one of these restrictions refers to either the zoning ordinance or the municipal code. And this section is really to help the staff advise people on what they can do when they come in here. So if you want to open an amusement park, you can refer to Title 8, Chapter 2, which alcoholic beverages, and you can't serve alcoholic beverages unless you meet a certain requirement. So, so that's the kind of thing that we try to put together, a list of what potential issues might come up for somebody wanting an apartment in a business district or a beauty parlor or whatever. And so we try to come up with as many of those restrictions as possible, and they directly relate. Every one of those directly relates to this table of uses, which we painstakingly went through for over probably 4 or 5 months of meetings to put this list together and add to it, subtract from it, change everything around to make sure we got as much of this in the correct place as possible. So we did a lot of work on it, and I think the Planning Commission is proud of this work that they've done on this ordinance.
Mayor, you want a motion that we approve it on first reading, and of course we know Bob is going to look into the item
Yes.
4 on page 5.
Yes, that would work.
I move we approve it on the first reading. With it noted that the city administrator is going to look into consideration of the board being a third level of approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was the first second there?
It doesn't matter.
Me, Bob.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Douglas, a second by Hamilton. Is there any discussion? Although on first reading, all of those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is a motion to approve the amended specifications for the 16750 Highway 64 Museum Building Roofing Project. On these specifications, and there were two questions I had. One being removal of all the chimneys. Why would we be doing that?
To help with the water situation. So that was their suggestion. We talked to two different roofers who came to the same conclusion. The chimneys don't work inside the building. We can leave them on there if you want, and we can try to seal them the best way we can.
Well, and then my other question was, it was talking about removing wood and putting up black vinyl. I don't.
Okay, so in the back part of the building, this is in the back part of the building, not in the front. There are wood soffits in the back that have gutters attached to them the wood is rotted out, and basically the gutters are just have holes in them. So we would replace the soffits basically like we did on the electric building down there, and put new gutters on it. And we don't have to put black vinyl on top of that wood. We could paint them, but I think they'll last a lot longer with vinyl on them.
Well, but I don't think we take a historical building and start changing the outside with vinyl and things like that.
Okay. I can remove the vinyl if you'd like to. It's up to you guys.
Well, I would like that removed. Yes.
See if I can find all that stuff. Here's the list of specifications. So letter D would be remove and replace all wood soffits in the rear of the building. We can just and paint that a certain color. We can do that. Paint it black instead.
Okay.
Does this have to be approved tonight?
I was hoping it would get approved tonight. Yes.
Because I sort of agree with Ronnie. I'd like to see what you're talking about replacing with vinyl, and I'm agreeing with Ronnie on this. I'd like to keep that building kind of, with what I've seen, it's got a real historical value in it. I kind of like to not take away from it as much as possible.
Well, the outside of the building looking from the street is not going to change much. You know, you're just in the back where the alley would look different.
So is that where you're talking about? Is it just on the back side of the building?
There are no other visible soffits except in the rear of the building. Not from the outside, not from the street, anywhere.
Bob, could that be replaced with hardy board instead of just wood so it would last longer?
Sure.
Then it would be the wood, but it would also be more durable.
Okay. I mean, we're not in any real hurry to do this. If we want to hold on to it for another month, we can do that, and I can make the alterations. Maybe I can get some more pictures and show everybody. It's up to you guys.
What do you think, Mayor?
Well, I'm not interested in changing the outside of the building any, really. You know, that metal coping now, the specifications call for first the metal coping, and then it says or terracotta. So is that to be done as a alternate?
That's an additive alternate, and so I added that section right here, Mayor. Additional cost for terracotta coping. The only problem with the terracotta coping, even with the metal coping, is doing the very front of the building on top of the curved part of it would be pretty difficult and probably would change the look of the building. We probably need to come up with an alternative for putting the coping on there. But there is a mandatory pre-bid meeting 2 weeks beforehand. Anybody who wants to bid on this project is going to show up and stand on the roof, and we're going to talk about exactly how we're going to handle all those particular items that may come up. So one of the biggest issues is how are we going to seal the building in the front of the building on that curved part is going to be one of the major issues of that. So,
Well, do we need to consult an architect on that before we do this?
well, architects cost money, but we can do that if you
Well,
like.
they do, but I don't want to put a metal coping up there on that curved part to detract from the building. I mean, have we ever figured out how old that building is?
David, 1852?
18, according to Mr. Alan Sanders and maybe Joy Rosser, 1840s, late 1830s, 1840s.
Wow.
That's all the information I have on it. I know it was there during the Civil War in the 1860s. Because the upstairs, I was told, was used for like a doctor's office or hospital, what, you know, something like that.
Well, I'm wondering if we need to consult an architect on the exterior before we do something that we later wished we hadn't done.
Okay.
I don't know. What does the board think? What's the board's feelings?
I think that's fine.
I'm with Ronnie.
I agree.
I agree
I
too.
I think we need to just move this to next month and maybe get some more ideas of what we can do to keep the building. I mean, I know we're probably going to have to do some structural stuff to it because it is old, but I agree with Ronnie. I think we ought to try to keep it as original as possible, you know, because it's a historic building in our town.
Should we get the architect between now and next month?
I think if we could figure out who we could talk with about that, and we need to talk with somebody, in my opinion, that whose work is in preservation. In fact, there may be a lady in Memphis who's not an architect, but she heads the Memphis Preservation Organization. Let me see, I met her not long ago. Let me see if I can contact her and get her ideas about that. She might.
What about George? Isn't he an architect? Do you think he might could recommend somebody, George Burns?
Well, sure he can. Of course, with George being on the planning commission, we can't hire him to do anything.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about hiring him. I just figured maybe if he could recommend somebody, since he's in that line of work and can steer us in the direction we might need to go.
Yeah, we can do that. We will, let's postpone
We can research
this.
that and bring it back to the next meeting, Mayor.
Yes,
Okay.
let's do that.
Let's just
good.
not jump off the deep end. We have time to spend this money that the state has given us. They've given us a little over $100,000 for these types of projects. So,
Well,
you know, we
actually, the way that money wound up being given to us, we can do with it whatever we want.
whenever we want. Yeah, I'm still going to keep track of how we spend it, Mayor, just in case they change their mind.
Well, if you wrote, as far as I'm concerned, if you wrote $100,000 worth of checks this month, you've just spent it.
No kidding, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't want to do that.
So it's already spent then, right?
All right. So it's already spent.
Right,
So-
it's already spent. We spend $100,000 every month basically to keep the town running.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we will postpone item 7.4 until the next meeting.
Okay.
7.5, review the bids for the town square maintenance contract, of which we got no bids. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we spoke to a couple of, one other person, the people that do the McDonald's in town here. The reason why they didn't bid on it was because they want to do it every week. They don't want to do it once a month. It'd be easier for them to do it every week. And of course, it's more money for them to do it every week. But most everybody is about $1,600 for the lump sum upfront bid. That's getting rid of all the old stuff around the old beds. And I know the guys actually did a pretty good job today. They were working on it today, cleaning up those beds. The problem with them is they don't have the time to do it on a regular basis, do it every week or every other week. It's just once a month or once every 6 weeks for them. And it gets pretty rough looking after a month or 6 weeks look out there. So if we could find somebody that could do it more often, that would be better for us in the long run.
Can you still check with someone, or you still have that opportunity?
So I think we need to just put another bid spec out there and try it.
In doing this next bid, why don't you ask Johnny Pettit, Bob?
Okay. I'll get his contact information tomorrow.
He does a lot of commercial. He does all of the bank properties, Rossville, Hickory West, Somerville. He does others. He does some in Memphis.
Hey, Bob, I can send you his number.
Just I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll get it tomorrow.
That's fine. I can text it to you.
You know, there was a company I saw somewhere on Facebook called Mid-South something. And I think they're local people that do cleanups and, you know, landscaping and all that. Now, I don't know whether that would be their forte or not, but
yeah, the one that does McDonald's is in Collierville.
Well, yes. Basically, the great thing is about the guys the guys that we did get a quote from. They are already at McDonald's every week. One of the problems with getting the bids is the travel time. We did have several quotes, but they were coming out here from Memphis or whatever. It didn't make sense to them, and they would have to charge us for that. So the gentleman that gave us the quote, he owns Ace Hardware in East Memphis, and he was, you know, seemed to be fairly in line as well. And Bob, you've got that quote.
But again, it's too much money for us to just award it, though. I think.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, we have to go through a bidding process again.
Yeah, but that was one of the drawbacks. We had several calls on it, but the travel time was kind of one of the sticking points.
I mean, we're almost getting to the point where maybe we hire a company at a one-shot deal to put to spruce them all up in September or October for the winter, and just wait until the spring to hire a company to do this stuff for us. So I don't know.
Can I ask what the weekly cost was for the ones that do McDonald's?
Yeah, it's $17.25 a month, so a little over $400 a month a week.
Okay.
I guess it must be $400 a week, because when you add in the extra week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they broke it up into 12-inch. Now that includes like putting mulch down and all the other things that are once or twice a year, adding pre-merge and post-merge and all the other chemicals that they would put in there to help keep the weeds down, and fertilizer and all that other stuff. So it includes a bunch of different things that happen over the year. So even though they want a monthly standard fee, a lot of other stuff extra stuff is included in that annual contract.
Now, during the winter, they wouldn't do this, would they?
No, they wouldn't do it as much, but they'd be here cleaning up, cleaning the beds out, cleaning the leaves out, doing whatever else they need to do to keep everything
blowing the
spruced
sidewalks, weed control on the sidewalks in the concrete. There would be some maintenance, yeah.
So this would be a year-round.
Yeah.
This is a year-round contract. A lot of them want a standard payment every month. In fact, every one of them we talk to wants a flat rate payment per month. So their annual cost divided by 12 is what they really want.
Bob, I've got another number for you. Someone else that might put a bid in that does. That's okay. His professional job. That's what he does.
Okay.
Okay, and along those lines, where are we on finishing the square in the project?
Well, we're still waiting on Insight to come back and add the handrails and put the lights up that they didn't have the correct heads for. We're waiting on them. Jeep has been contacting them every day. He contacted them. He tried to contact them today. They did not get back to us. They have other things we're working on. I know they're going to be back in the area in October, I believe, but man, that's a long way away. I would like to see them get finished. I will try to contact TLM tomorrow and see if we can light a fire under these people, get them back here.
Well, they seem to have done such a good job to start with. But we need it finished.
Well,
Right.
the COVID thing, put off
Right,
some
I realize
manufacturers with the
that.
handrails and that kind of stuff, and that's what happened to them, I think. So,
Okay.
that's basically what happened to them. They worked through the COVID virus thing from they started in December and they just kept working. So.
Okay. Next item is 7.6, a motion to approve Blue Cross Blue Shield Tennessee 2021 license agreement, donation agreement, and transfer agreement.
In order to apply for the BCBS grant, we need to sign these agreements. And Tom, you review them. Do you have anything to say about them?
I did review them. They look fine to me. I would recommend.
It's basically saying that we give them, we use their name on the sign. The donation agreement basically allows them access to the property during construction for 12 months. And then the final agreement is the transfer agreement, which actually transfers their property to us. They do all the work. They don't bid it out. They already have a contractor picked out. They just put it in for us and they give it to us completed and we take it over and we maintain it from there on out. And there are other parameters that we have to make sure we maintain it to a certain level. We can't let it, go down too much or whatever. But they also, if there are major problems with the park or with the apparatus that they give us, they will come back and fix it for us. And I don't know specifically how all that works because I can't remember off the top of my head, but they will fix some of those major issues with us, for us over the years.
I don't know if I've asked this before, but where is this park going to go?
So out at the center, the area that is on the, let's see, how the track goes around up there near the back of the building.
Yeah.
It's right in that area right there. Mandy, you have anything to say about that?
No, I mean, all of those are fairly straightforward. The company that will be installing these are also the manufacturers, or they're the certified manufacturers. So they will basically partner with us to help us if we do have any issues. They did call last week to make sure that we were applying for that. They have changed up. This is the same grant where we were applying for the tennis courts. They've changed the parameters of the grant itself, and
I think they learned their lesson last year. They had a lot of issues last year.
They went into a couple of places, Kingsport as well as Chattanooga, where they ran into bedrock and things like that. So it ended up costing them more. So that's why they've given us the 6 parks to choose from. That way they know, what type of grade that they will need. For the property, they ran into lots of pieces of property that may have been owned by the town, but it was not suitable for construction. And so they actually had to pay for the dirt work and things out of their pocket. So this year they've said, hey, if we have to do a ton of, work on this, you're going to have to reimburse us. We're kind of lucky in that we're basically at a 3% grade pretty much across the board on that property that we've chosen. but that's really it. It's the same grant, it just has different parameters.
Did you send us an email on the 6 different parks or
Yep.
the 6 different things?
Didn't you already
Yep,
do
the
that,
day
Mindy?
after the meeting. Yep, did it the day after the meeting, so that would have been Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I agree with the one you selected, Mindy.
I do
I'm
too.
sorry?
I think that would be the perfect one.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
community hub.
Yes.
I think that kind of gives everything, something for everybody. And I think it fits our community the best.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the?
I move.
I'll
There.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Alderman Hamilton and
Sandra and Judy.
no,
That was Judy
oh, was it? Okay, excuse me.
that seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agreements. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. 7.7, review the 2020 water quality report.
As Jeep pointed out to me today, it's actually the sanitary survey report. I'm sorry, I mixed it up. But last year we got a 99 and this year we only got 100. So he only improved 1 point. But anyway, he got a 100%, which is the best rating you can get. And that was, this was done by Chris and the water department.
Tell him congratulations.
Yes, he did a great job.
Right.
Alan got no write-ups or anything like that with the gas company, and the sewer department's next. So we're doing really well. Our audit's coming up in October, so we ought to find out if we have 4 years of no findings in our audit starting next year. So we have 3 in a row right now. We hope we keep that going. So anyway, the team is doing a great job, and everybody's on board with what we're trying to do here.
Be sure and give my congratulations to Chris on that.
Yes, sir. I will.
7.8, music on the square update.
Well, I don't know if we have an update. Do you have any updated information, Mindy?
No, it's up to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
I just put it on there, Mayor, in case we wanted to talk about it again. That's all.
Does anybody have any thoughts?
Mayor, I personally have offered, I would do half of a sponsorship if we do it virtually. If someone else will do the other half of the sponsorship.
To have music on the square on Zoom.
Music on the Zoom.
Is there any restrictions right now as far as from the governor? As far as any kind of gatherings or anything like that?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, whether any of those crowd sizes are now in play or not.
I would be in agreement with if we could find somebody that wanted to do it, if they agreed to do it, and just try to emphasize on everybody, staying their distance as best as they can, following the 6 foot rule. And
One thing,
I'm personally opposed to us having a gathering on the square
we
at
most
this
likely,
point in time.
Mayor, most likely, we're going to be meeting this way next month. The governor hadn't approved it for another, but if he does, we would look like, I don't mean to say we would look like we didn't have good sense if we were meeting ourselves on Zoom and we were inviting people to come gather, group of 100 people up on the square.
Well, of
I
course,
pretty
you know,
much agree with that.
under the mayor's mask ordinance or mask order, you know, a group like that should have to wear a mask if you're
Yeah.
going to have a meeting like that. And I just can't see us doing that at this point. I mean, the
Mayor,
school's starting back. Yes, sir.
my offer is for doing it electronically.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It just kind of loses something though electronically.
Right.
I don't.
No, I don't disagree, but I just wanted to make the offer. You know. So.
Well, that's nice of you to make that offer,
is.
Mike. I do
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's just table the music on the square for the rest of the year. It seems like we're not going to be able to do it with ordinances and other things, and so I think we should just not even bring it up anymore because it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to do it anyway.
Okay. That's the update on the music on the square. We can always do something later if it turned out to be that something that could be done.
Well, that's the reason why I was asking about the ordinance as far as, you know, what the governor has recommended, or I actually forgot about what the county mayor, I forgot about that ordinance, but yeah, I'm most definitely for it if we can do something in the future.
And on that ordinance, I mean, or on that order that the mayor issued, that was to some extent at the request of Baptist Hospital and Methodist Hospital, and at my request. I had requested him to do that. I fully support that. And I think that with the way things are going, if we don't try to change some things, then we're just going to be fighting this from now on out. If we don't, I heard today on the news that New Zealand, country of 5 million people, has they've basically gotten rid of it, following the rules that they put in several months ago. So otherwise, we're going to be fighting this forever if we don't try to do some things differently. And I would certainly urge all of y'all to wear a mask if you're around people, especially if you're inside. If you're outside, it's not so bad apparently, but if you're inside, you should be wearing a mask, and you should insist that the other people that are in the room with you be wearing a mask. Is there any unfinished business?
What is going on with the death triangle? What is?
So that grant's coming up. It's probably got another year on it or so. We're going to have to, they haven't even gotten the NEPA done, which is the environmental survey. So once they get approval from TDOT for the NEPA, then we'll move on to developing that project. So they haven't started designing the project yet. So when they get the project done and designed, then they're going to bring it to the board for review, and we'll take a look at it. Maybe we'll have a couple of them in the middle there where you can see it as it's going along. But it's been very difficult dealing with A2H on this, just because people at TDOT are working from home, people at A2H are working at home. Just makes it just another step in there that just makes the whole thing kind of difficult. I do know we're a little bit further along on the Transportation Alternatives Grant, which is the grant that's going to take the sidewalk down Lakeview Road to the hospital, to the school. So we're further along on that project than we are on the multimodal project, which is the square and the traffic signals and all that stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Mindy, did y'all talk about the tombstones that have been completed?
Oh, yeah.
They are
Yes.
so beautiful.
They were pretty
Oh
amazing.
my
And I
gosh.
think, yes, there you go. So these were completed this weekend. And they are amazing. Sandra and I drove by, we got out, we looked at them. The detail that they were able to restore is absolutely amazing.
And they did fix the
face-
foundation on that one there.
They
yeah,
did,
the
right.
foundation, it is amazing what they were able to do in really a short amount of time, basically a weekend.
Hmm.
Wow.
Can we
I
get,
mean, they're just as beautiful as Elmwood. I'm not kidding you. You've
Yeah,
got to
they
go
are
through
gorgeous.
there and see them. You need to get out and look at the fine details.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I think we need to go forward with getting some more done. I mean, these are just a drop in the bucket, but you got to start somewhere.
That's right.
can we get
They are-
pictures
they-
of those published in the Falcon?
Sure.
Is our
Yes.
editor still on here?
Yeah, she's on. This is one of the fences that
Carolyn,
they
I
started.
could,
This is one of the
Oh, I'm
fences
sorry,
they
go
started
ahead.
working on. This is the Jones family fence. They had not completed the other one. I don't think they're quite finished with this one yet either. So, but it looks 1,000% better. I don't know if you looked at the barnacles that were all over it on the other picture, but they've done a great job cleaning it up.
They really have.
I'm sure they're not barnacles, but they look like barnacles to me.
They're not underwater.
No, they're not in the water. Pretty incredible how white they are. Wow. When you go up the hill, it's pretty unbelievable what they actually looked like
Nice.
150 years ago plus.
They almost look brand new.
Did they power
They really
wash
did.
them? Is that what they did?
I don't know what they
no,
used to
I
clean
think
them.
they use like an acid. They clean them like with an acid, and then you can tell like on they've had to put concrete or whatever to kind of stick some of that stuff together because it was coming apart to make it a solid piece. But they were able to match the concrete color so well that you really don't even see where they've, restored them.
Yeah, the biggest one there were some cracks in it, but I sure don't see them from that picture.
Yeah.
I don't see any at the
they
top
look
anymore, Mayor.
amazing.
Where they
I
had the
know.
cracks near the top, they had a bunch of them. None of those are around anymore. They had that one down here, but I guess they did the best they could to fill a lot of that stuff up. But it's an unbelievable transformation, really.
The next one, you can notice the bowl on the very top of it. They did have to, fill that in with concrete. You might be able to see like a hairline fracture there. That's all been restored. That is smooth. But you can see finite detail of writing in these that you would never have been able to see before.
Right.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of that biggest one that I had on my phone, and it's
Compared to this.
there's a little bit of difference there.
Well, you erased 150 years of weather.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be good if
weather.
they could do the before and after in the newspaper.
Well, we could do that. We have plenty of
Yeah.
pictures from before.
Yeah, we have all that.
I thought about doing that today, but I just got these pictures this afternoon. I would have done it for you, but I got it a little too late.
Okay, well, that
Hey,
turned out real well.
And in about the third section, I call where those monuments are first section, and then there's the next section, and then there's the third section. In that third section, there's a Burnett tombstone that has sunk. I mean, it's a relatively new tombstone, and it has sunk about a foot on the left-hand side. It looks like it's fixing to go down into the ground. It's real
Well, there's some
pitiful.
Burnett's around here. Maybe they make a donation to help us out a little bit.
Well, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know if they're the
which-
same Burnett's or not.
I don't think it's those Burnett's, though. I think they've got a bigger one than in another part of the cemetery. I think I've seen it before. This is kind of new.
I don't know if you
it's-
notice, this is kind of sad, but I don't know if you notice the little, these are all co-children that passed away in infancy and childhood
Oh,
in the middle
yeah.
there. I guess they
And
had
the first
a
one, I
disease.
think he was,
Yeah,
in that first monument, wasn't he 26 years old?
yeah, he
Mindy?
wasn't very
Yes,
old.
ma'am.
Yeah, this one right
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
It's amazing. I think it said 26 years, 11 months, and 26 days.
Yeah, there it is
Yeah,
right
Something
there.
like
That's
that.
exactly what it
26
said.
years, 11 months, and 24 days. There it is right there.
Yeah.
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 He
Got it
fell
down
in
to
the
day.
what?
In the
He fell in the massacre
massacre
at Goliad, Texas.
at Texas.
Oh, okay.
That was for,
Which
that
was-
was the that was Texas's fight for independence from Mexico.
Was Goliad right before the Alamo or right after the Alamo?
I'm not sure. I didn't look that up.
I think it was, well, it was right in there about the same time.
Right around the same time as the Alamo. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, is there, other than a little more history lesson, is there anything else we need to talk about tonight?
We want to know that the next meeting, if it was before or after, Bob.
Okay, no problem.
We
I'll
need
read a
some
book real
research
quick on it.
here.
I think you could probably search it up and look it on online here if you wanted to just wait a
I'm
second.
sure. I'm kidding.
What
Bob,
we
I'd
need
like
to
to-
do is figure out how to get more money to repair more of them. I mean, I know we've got, what was that $2,500, Bob, or what was it?
I don't
For
remember.
those and the fence.
I'm not sure. I don't remember what it was exactly, Sandra.
Bonnie, don't we have 18,000? Is
We
that
did
what in the
about
budget?
that.
18,000. Okay, so minus
It was after. That was Goliad. Wait a minute. It was after the Alamo.
Okay.
Oh, Bob.
About a month. It was right after the Alamo.
we need to put together some ideas of these families that, see if we can get some donations, really play this up.
Well,
I mean, it's needed. It's very needed.
Well, the man who did this work for us is a historian that would help us do some work to create a pamphlet or something. And I know Joy Rosser could help us.
Right.
Certain people that know a lot about the individuals that are buried up there at the cemetery. And, people go from cemetery to cemetery to look at historic figures. And I think it's pretty incredible what some of the people we have up there in our cemetery from how long ago they've been there.
Well, we have
180
some
years.
of
Get
that.
going on it.
We have some of that information in our cemetery brochure.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of those cemetery brochures here. Or the
And
old
having
ones.
to do contact tracing.
Mayor, I had a little something I wanted to say about the roofing project.
Okay.
I know I had talked at the last meeting, and I think I talked to Bob, and he said that you guys were leaning toward a TPO roof for that building. One of my concerns was when I just re-roofed Jack Dawson's karate studio. And one of my concerns up there, because that building is so old, that some roofs, like if you put a modified or probably a TPO on it, you're going to have to put fasteners into those bricks. And those bricks are very old and they're very brittle. So when I put that one on Jack's building, because when you go from the roof to the wall, that transition there, you have to have that transition, and you have to go up the wall, and then your TPO or whatever, your modified roofing has to be attached to the wall. So I would just make sure that's being brought into consideration. That's why I like the foam so much, because you can just spray it up on the wall and just spray the transition from the roof to the wall. And you know, another thing I was going to mention is you might could consider two different kinds of roofing, you know, to do, like if you wanted to do the foam on the decking and then maybe do something else on the top cap, because you're not going to see the roof from the road. All you're going to see is the top cap. So, you know, something like that might be something to consider as well. And the foam roofing is extremely super lightweight. It's just like putting a sponge up there. It's just, it weighs nothing. So that's another thing I liked about it. And I've got several, I've put them in 3 different properties, and so far, I mean, they're not old, but they're working out really well. So
Yep.
that was all I had to say. And I would be concerned about going up that wall and having to put a lot of fasteners in it, drilling holes into those bricks, because I just don't know if they could. I think they would just crumble. I really do. They might fall apart, and that would be a concern. And I just wanted to mention that.
And thank
Okay.
you for that.
Just more reason why we probably need somebody to take a look at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really think you could do like a combination, you know, do one type on the decking and then maybe something else up the wall. I mean, it seems to me like you just want to have some top caps up there because that was probably what was original to the building. But I don't know what was original to the building because there's really no pictures that I found of that building.
I think Joyce got some pictures of that building.
Well, she might. I'll ask her.
Yeah, my
but-
wife talked to her before all this virus stuff, and she's got some old pictures of that building.
Oh, does she?
So-
Okay. Well,
We need to.
I've got
get with her.
one. I've got one that's probably the oldest one I've got was an aerial photo, and it was probably in the 40s, I'd say.
Okay.
And it didn't have any top caps on it then. So
If Joey's got pictures of that, let's see if we can get those and make copies for ourselves and give hers.
Monday,
back to her.
I think she might have pictures of the front of the building without the metal doors on it too,
Well, that's
Okay.
what.
with a different door on it.
but I just wanted to say I'd be very careful about putting a bunch of fasteners into those walls, because when I did Jack's building, I actually attached the transition goes from Jack's roof to the building that the city bought from me, and I was not going to put any fasteners into that wall, so that was one reason I chose the foam there. So we just went up the wall maybe a foot or two, and it took care of all that. So there was no fasteners attached at all.
Okay, thank you, David.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, is there anything else? If not, we will be adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.